Good morning, land of the internet. Hello, hello, hello out there. I'm just going to give it a minute for Instagram to go live. And as soon as Instagram catches up and goes live, we will be fully awakened in our awareness and we will go from there. Okay, looks like. Oh, that's weird. It went live for a second and then it stopped. So let's just try it again. Give me 1 second, folks. Okay. Looks like I'm streaming everywhere. It says I am. I don't know. Instagram's still dark, but we're just going to go with it anyway. So, 1 more second. Sorry, folks. Okay. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of DIY Wellness. I'm your host, Brian Hogan, a life coach, filmmaker, and clinical therapist. And on this show, what I like to do is just propose to you guys different strategies to increase your well-being and your liberation and your freedom in life. And you take the ones that resonate for you and you toss the rest of them in the garbage, because this is not another show where you have to hang to-do items around your neck. Instead, it's about freedom, peace, and joy. So take what resonates and get rid of the rest. So how am I taking personal growth into my own hands today? Well, I am learning about how to shift my awareness from the narrow band of achievement mode that we normally live in to a more awakened state of awareness. And the reason I came up with this topic is because I'm studying for my dissertation through a PhD program right now. And I read an article over the weekend by some from a 2025 article, and it was studying the nature of awareness and the nature of spiritual transformation experiences, essentially. And what they did was they realized that awareness had these two distinct levels to it. There was one called achievement awareness and another one called awakened awareness. How interesting I thought it was that in this particular culture that we live in, the two distinct levels of awareness are awakened. Obviously, great, that's beautiful to live. But then the opposite almost was achievement awareness. I guess that's no surprise, because we are literally taught for ever and ever to derive all of our value and all of our worth from what we achieve, what we do, and what we accomplish. That type of achievement awareness is very, very limiting. Our perceptions are limited when we are convinced that we're only worth what we can achieve. So we have sometimes had to use this achievement mode as armor to survive. So that's okay too. Like, I'm a proud member of the LGBTQIA plus community, and there were absolutely times growing up where I felt so not worth anything, so much like I didn't belong on the planet, even because of my way of being was completely different from how the world says you should be. And so I actually began to use things like achievement and accomplishments and good grades and stuff like that to feel more safe, to feel like I belonged more, to have more worth. And so sometimes achievement can be a form of armor for us, especially when we're younger, or especially if we're in a marginalized group and we're really trying to survive. So what we're going to do here is we're going to learn how culture narrows our attention toward approval, control, and performance, which crowds out curiosity, joy, and meaning. We're going to learn 3 ways to nurture our innate capacity for awakened awareness so that we can expand back out of that narrow band of achievement focus. And then we're finally going to learn why expanding our awareness is a loving and courageous act. Not only is it good for you, but it's good for everybody around you. And we're going to get into that too. So quick definitions to start off, right? Achievement awareness is a narrow form of attention that's focused on approval, control, and performance. This achievement awareness is good for some things. It's good for logistics. It's good for making plans. What it's not good for is helping us process things like grief or connecting in relationships with intimacy or like discovery, innovation, and curiosity. Achievement awareness is no good for any of that. And then there's awakened awareness, which is warm, inclusive. It's a stance where worth isn't contingent on anything. Attention widens like towards self, others, and the idea of something larger. Doesn't need to be spiritual, doesn't need to be any sort of certain belief, but just the idea that there is something beyond oneself that's worth uh, living for, understanding the great mystery of being alive. And then as that happens, the body has a bit more room to breathe. So that's the difference between achievement awareness and awakened awareness. Culture trains achievement awareness. So we're not bad or wrong for having it. It's been taught to us for however many years you were alive. But we can practice, and through these practices, we can retrain our attention. So awakened awareness contains achievement awareness. It's not the opposite, like I said earlier, actually. I said almost, because it's not that achievement awareness is bad and awakened awareness is good. It's that achievement awareness is narrow and awakened awareness is larger. It has achievement awareness in it. You can still be aware of things you want to achieve, but doing it from an awakened place. So I hope that makes sense. So how does culture narrow our attention and crowd out joy, curiosity, and meaning? Well, we've grown up all of our lives where we have systems of metrics that we have to hit, and we have to get approval, and we have to get the right answer. That shapes our attentional stance just as much as living from the calendar. So growing up and being socialized in a school system for 12 plus years where there was only one right answer for any question, and you had to try really hard to get the one right answer. And if you didn't, it was bad, and you were like basically humiliated in front of all your friends. So because of that system, we really are bent toward achievement because we think it'll be safer to get the right answer. What happens when we live in this way is that our inner story, the voice in our head, the story that we tell ourselves, it slips into this sort of bargaining mode, a scorekeeping mode. It becomes much more judgmental and filled with critique. Also, our connection beyond ourselves starts to wane. We lose connection with things like awe and wonder. We lose like that feeling of intimacy and kinship with even our closest friends. The ideas of reciprocity starts to fade because we're too busy achieving things and then we're exhausted. So how can I give to you? So all of that starts to fade away too. And then ease just kind of slowly disappears. Even if the external thing in your life doesn't change, suddenly the external things you're doing are seized up and locked up as if you're a system without the right amount of oil. Awakened awareness is the oil. So awakened awareness has a good, or achievement awareness rather, has a good uses, right? Like technical precision, deadlines, but it distorts the relational and creative areas of our lives. Here's like a mini example. It's a critical email arrives. Someone's saying some crap about you that you don't think is true, or maybe you do, but you just didn't expect to get it. So there's now, in like the achievement mode way of fixing it would be to say, "Ooh, this is a threat to my identity." And we don't say this consciously. We just get excuse me. We get the critical email and we go, "Ooh, I'm threatened." And then we urgently try to go into fixing it mode. That's achievement. Or we try to go into any kind of like avoidance mode. Versus we can get the critical email. We can widen our attention. We can feel how it feels in our body. We can say, "Oh, how is this affecting me?" We can see the other person and say, "Oh, how must they have been affected in order to write this?" And we can see the bigger picture, that this moment is small and it isn't just about the email, about me and about them, but there's a whole world around this particular situation. That space, that awakened understanding of the moment we're in, allows us to act from our values instead of acting from achievement mode or like an urgent knee-jerk reaction to fix. So it's just simple things like that, a simple way of being different in your day-to-day decisions. But this isn't to say, "Oh, you better show up and start being different." The whole thing happens with self-kindness, and there's no, you don't have to achieve awakened awareness mode. All we're doing is retraining our body, retraining our mind to notice when we slip into achievement mode so that we can slip back out. There's not some other mode you have to fix your way into. The less you narrow yourself to achievement mode, the more you are and the more likely you are to be in an awakened awareness. So it's not something you have to pursue doggedly. It's the opposite of that. That's what achievement mode wants to tell you. That's what your mind wants to tell you. Achievement's a great tool, but it's a terrible home. Worth isn't a wage that you earn, it's the ground that you stand on. And so you're already standing on it. You're already inherently worth so much and you're so valuable. It's just about remembering that. It's not about becoming the truth of that. You already are that. So you don't have to achieve your worth. That's the whole point here. We just have to start to believe it, start to claim it, so to speak, start to notice it all around us. So now the meat of it. There are 3 ways. This study that I read was by researchers, Crete et al., because there were a couple other names in 2025. And the 3 methods that they use to help students really train and solidify their awakened awareness were these: intentional mindfulness, which we'll get into in a minute exactly how they did that, self-reflection through writing, and then safe community where you could process this stuff. So for you guys, it's this awareness is a trainable thing. I practice it all the time, trying to be in it. The beauty of it is that when you practice this widening of attention, it also softens threat reactivity. So you become more peaceful. You can become a little bit more able to handle the roller coaster. It doesn't change the momentum of the roller coaster you're on, but suddenly you can see the roller coaster you're on with a little bit more equanimity, with a little bit more detached peace and distance, instead of being bound up in the roller coaster as if it's the true you and it's your real identity. So tool number 1, intentional mindfulness, just on the spot widening. So anytime you're starting to feel this, like, oh, I'm rushing, I'm locked up, I'm in achievement mode, or my life doesn't have the meaning that I want it to have, stop and take 3 breaths. Breath number 1 is for your body. And as you breathe, you ask, what's tight or loose right now? And you just begin to notice it. You don't have to fix anything. You're training a mindful, attentional awareness out of urgency into present moment. That's all. It's just noticing. It could be anything going on in there that you want. It's just noticing it. And then on your second breath, you say, oh, what might the others in my life care about right now? It helps widen your attention again out from the minutia of your present moment into the relational context in which you actually live all the time around other people. And the third breath, you say, what value or larger thing, larger we matters here? What's a collective goal or a collective need, a collective, not that we always want to put our needs below the group. It's not that. We're just here training awareness. And our awareness normally is achieve, 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 go, 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 get me, my. Even if we're selfless people, our awareness is just doing that. And so what we're doing is we're practicing saying, what's really happening now? What's really happening with the people in my life? And what's really happening in my environment? Witnessing like this is not withdrawal. Witnessing like this also doesn't mean you have to put a verdict or a judgment. You just keep a warm, open tone to your awareness as opposed to the normal narrow band that we live in. The second tool is self-reflection. In the study, what they did was they had the students micro journal. So they would just journal for a few minutes a day, and it would help them to reflect on how often they were in achievement mode or how often they were in this awakened awareness mode. So a couple prompts that you guys can use. What is achievement trying to protect me from right now? So use that journal prompt, because every time you're in this achievement mode, there's a part of your psyche that thinks that's best, and it thinks that's best to keep you safe. So check in with that. What is achievement trying to protect me from right now? You can do these every day if you want to. You can be mindful anytime you want. You can stop and write 2 minutes in your journal anytime you want. So you don't need all 3 of these, any of these that resonate, or if all 3 resonate, start practicing them whenever it comes to you in ease and play and curiosity. Don't make this a new protocol that you have to enact. Otherwise, you're trying to achieve awakened awareness, which you can't achieve it. You just are it. All right, so the third tool is safe community, like oriented beyond self. So you could, if you have anyone in your life where you can just practice for like 5 minutes a week in a small pair or something, where you just share like one place where achievement ran you and one place where you noticed yourself being more awakened this week, a more wider stance of attention. And just start practicing that with people you love, people who will get it, people who won't make fun of you for trying to become more aware and more whole and more who you are in your life. Find the people that are on that same journey or that want to be on that same journey, and then create little check-ins, because the Bible says like where two or more are gathered, and there's some truth to that. There's so much truth. Like when I'm out here trying to do something on my own, it is 10 times harder than doing it with one other person. Having a helper or a community of support doesn't just cut your workload in half. It cuts your workload down by 10 times, because there's so much strength and power in that kind of camaraderie. So find a community of support, even if that's here, DIY Wellness. If this is your community of support, great. Then put it in the comments. Like, let's have a conversation, because a community of support is absolutely a game changer. And then point number 3, why expanding awareness is a loving and courageous act. This is the most important one that I want you guys to understand, is that you're not abandoning your armor. You're honoring why your armor formed in the first place. Your armor, the achievement armor, it formed to keep you safe. And now you are safer. And so you're choosing to open back up and have more range. You're not getting rid of achievement awareness. You're adding to it. You're expanding beyond it. Because when we are in awakened awareness, our attention widens and it reduces threat reactivity. That increases attunement and generosity. So people around you feel more safe. They feel more seen. You'll start to get comments like, "You have such presence." That's what it means when you have more of an awakened awareness. It means that you're more of you, all of you, a lot of you is really there in the moment. And people can feel that. They can feel the integrated, less scattered form of your attention. The other thing is that letting go of worth as a wage can feel like stepping out without a shield. So this is courage. Courage is staying present while you feel. That's what I was saying before. The roller coaster will stay the same, but you just have courage and you watch it with equanimity. Oh, look at this. Look at this going all awry as I decide to awaken and open my awareness. It's okay to become aware of unpleasant things. Trying to avoid the unpleasant things actually causes you more suffering. So allow yourself to become aware. Ease does not mean passivity. So awakened awareness may actually increase clear values aligned action, especially where harm exists, especially where injustice exists. So there's nothing to worry about where you're like, oh, well, if I become more awakened, more aware, more soft in my focus, then I'm going to not care about social justice issues. It's actually the opposite. The more you touch your deep core truth, the more injustice is appalling to you. So just know that you're not going to become passive by trying to touch into your own truth of peace. So yes, so that's what I wanted to leave you guys with. That's the main thing today. So if you took some of this, if something resonates with you and you have any questions, put them in the comments and I will go in there and answer them. If you try this out and you have either a success or a problem story, put that in the comments too, and I would love to address those with you guys. Before we go, I just want to answer a couple questions that I get asked about this sometimes. So one of my listeners has asked, can I keep big goals and still live from awakened awareness? Yes, totally. That's a great question. And I understand where it's coming from, because it's almost can sound like we're saying awakened awareness means you're no longer going to want to move forward and achieve. But again, achievement awareness is not the opposite of awakened awareness. It's a piece within it. And so you can and will want to continue accomplishing and achieving goals. There's nothing wrong with accomplishing and achieving goals. So you can keep your big goals alive, but instead of having the big goals be the master where you must work toward them or else you're not valuable, the big goals are just there for fun, for funsies, because you want to achieve them, because they make your life better, because they're exciting to go toward, not because you have to, not because of obligation, not because you're worth less if you don't, or worthless if you don't. So that's the difference. Yes, keep your big goals alive, but put them in the place where they belong, in a container of choice, liberation, peace, fun, play, not a place of obligation because we're worth less if we don't achieve. Yeah. Okay. And another listener asks, I'm an atheist. What counts as larger than self for me? Okay, so that's a great question. So you don't need to have any kind of religious or spiritual beliefs to touch into the fact that there is something larger than you out there. I mean, if I just say, do you know why you exist? You're going to answer no. So there's like a mystery inherent in our being alive. There's a mystery. So it's that mystery, just touching into that mystery. Touching into that mystery is touching into a sense of something larger than yourself. Do you know where rainbows come from? Do you know why tidal waves happen? You don't. So that's the something larger, right? Okay, maybe you know why tidal waves happen if you're a tidal wave engineer or whatever those people are. But like at the deep, deep core level, like why does water exist? You don't know that. Like we don't know. We don't know the deepest fundamental. Scientists still have no idea about why life. We can say things about how, we have some mechanisms, but we don't know why. The big whys, the big what for, it's a complete absolute mystery to all of us. And so touching into that mystery is touching into something bigger and larger than you. And it can do the same exact thing as if you decide you want to believe in some specific God with a name. So there's no dogma about this. It's just a felt sense of the obvious that there's something larger out there. Okay, with that, I want to tell everybody have a wonderful week, and thank you so much for being here and for listening. If you want to practice this out, put some stories in the comments if you do this, because I want to help you get unstuck and celebrate your wins. Because remember, DIY wellness means do it yourself, but that does not mean that you have to do it all by yourself. I'll be back again next week on Monday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. Until then, keep taking personal growth into your own hands. Much love, everybody. Bye.